Hi class, I just wanted to go over the week 5 assignments with you via video. Especially wanted to highlight that you do have an assignment due tomorrow, Thursday at 11:59 p.m. There is an assignment on statistics. So you are going to need to use the library resources linked in the announcement and in the Learn section of the table of contents to find two sources that provide statistics relevant to your project. These will be helpful for the background section, most especially that you need to draft this week. That's due Tuesday. Or you can also use them in the longer researched argument section, would be fine too. And in order to help you locate useful statistics, you'll need to watch the video in the learning resource section on using Statista, which is a library resource available to you, and there's a library guide on how to use these statistics resources as well. So those are two of your learning tasks. The other learning task you have is to read section 15 in conversation, which is on using sources. So make sure that you do that. Aside from the statistics assignment, which is due Thursday, and so once you find those statistics sources, all you are turning in is the Zotero generated bibliography for those two citations, the sources that you found that are relevant to your topic. So what you're actually submitting is just two full citations formatted according to either APA or Chicago style. And then Saturday you have a week 5 discussion post due, in which you need to spend at least 250 words talking about a research problem that you have or concern with your paper that you haven't been able to address. So for instance, if you are lacking sources on one side of the issue, or if you are having trouble finding common ground, or sort of what is still an unanswered question you have as you approach your Rogerian paper. Remember that the context of this course is really focusing on that larger research project, listening into the conversation that you're talking about, and trying to find commonality and then make proposals based on that common ground. So as I mentioned before, the various portions of this assignment are an introduction paragraph where you introduce the topic, the background section in which you give context about the topic on which you're writing, and the background section is what you are writing this week. Then you have a researched argument section where you present all of the perspectives on how to answer that question. And then you have a common ground paragraph in which you try to identify, the commonality between the various perspectives. And then you have a proposal section in which you make a suggestion or you give your opinion based on that common ground. So you want your opinion to be expressed not as like this is the best way to do it, but something like based on the shared values here among these different stakeholders, this is the perspective that would most benefit the widest audience. And then you have a conclusion paragraph where you just summarize what you've done in the paper and then suggest like the larger significance, like how is this going to help people, or what is the larger answer to the so what question there. So for this week, Saturday, you have 250 words thinking about, where you're sort of stuck in the research process or what you need help with. Because then for Tuesday, you need to comment on two of your peers' posts, giving them thoughtful suggestions for how to answer that question, or maybe giving them some tips. For Saturday, you also have your internet interview write-up due, and that's a minimum of 600 words. And so hopefully you've had a chance now to meet with or talk with your interview subjects by now. You'll need to present sort of a narrative of that interview. You don't want to just be like, I asked blank, he responded X. You want to sort of construct a narrative out of the interview, hitting on like key topics that you guys discussed and interweaving quotations into that narrative. So that's due Saturday. And then Tuesday, you have that background section due, a draft of your background section. That's a minimum of 800 words. Again, this is a great place to incorporate those statistics that you have located this week for Thursday's assignment. So I'll give an example here. So one student is writing on mega churches versus smaller churches. Okay, so why are Americans increasingly drawn to mega churches? So for the background, you'd want to think about are there statistics you can incorporate to show like the numbers that are there, like how many Americans are attending megachurches or belong to megachurches nowadays? Have these statistics shifted over the years? How can you show us that that the trend exists there? And then you want to build out sort of that discussion, talking about maybe different megachurches that exist, just kind of trace that the topic there, the rise of the megachurch, before then thinking about why is it that Americans are increasingly drawn to them. So first you want to just sketch out that is a trend, right? In the background section, you're building out the fact that it is in fact a trend, mentioning key details there. It's more of like a summary. And then at the end of your background section, you have a problem statement. So that's where you sort of suggest what you're looking into. So like based on the data suggesting that megachurches are on the rise in America, this paper will be considering the reasonings for that. And of course, you'll want to word it more eloquently, but you can see there from that example the function of the background statement. Again, this is not your introduction. This is not where you're just giving a very general sort of introduction to the topic and giving the overview of the entire paper. This is just the background, the context for the argument that you're then going to break down and think about why, what other people are saying on the issue. So that's still to come. Let me know if you have questions about this as you draft it. And yeah, I look forward to reading your drafts.